After the car accident, I decided to pretend I had amnesia. Seemed like a fun idea to see how my husband and son would react. My little boy's eyes sparkled with mischief as he led a woman into the ward. He looked at me and said, "Auntie, my parents and I are here to visit the patient." My husband, standing nearby, didn't say anything but silently accepted his son's words. "Auntie, my parents and I are here to visit the patient," my son repeated sweetly, echoing through the hospital room. I was sitting on the bed with a bandage wrapped around my forehead, looking down at my 5-year-old son Lucas, who stood proudly holding a hand of each adult beside him. A sly smile played on his face. Ethan, dressed sharply in a suit and tie, made no effort to correct his son's address. Instead, he simply watched me with quiet curiosity. The woman Lucas had brought along wore a flowing white dress and exuded elegance and gentleness. She looked slightly embarrassed under my gaze and tucked her hair behind her ear nervously. Lucas noticed me staring at Claire, her name was Claire, and stepped protectively in front of me, acting like a tiny guardian. If I really had amnesia, I might actually believe that these three were a happy family visiting me. But this was just another one of Lucas's pranks. He tugged on Ethan's sleeve and whispered, "Dad, since Mom has lost her memory, can you guys get a divorce?" Even though he tried to keep it low, I could hear every word clearly. I knew his game well. He was still upset about something I'd said the day before that made him lose face in front of the servants. He was punishing me, which was typical for him. But I wasn't in the mood for games anymore. Since I claimed to have amnesia, I was going to stick with it, for real this time. No more pretending to be their wife or mother. I lifted my head and asked calmly, "Excuse me, who are you?" Lucas blinked, startled. His usual confidence faltered a bit. "You don't remember me? You can't forget me. I'm your favorite child." His voice cracked slightly, betraying his panic. Ethan's expression darkened. His sharp eyes narrowed, and his tone turned impatient. "Naomi, stop pretending. The doctor said it was just a mild concussion. Don't think you can avoid a divorce by faking memory loss." "Yeah, stop pretending," Lucas chimed in. "You love us so much. How could you forget us?" His stern look mirrored Ethan's almost perfectly. I felt a wave of headache building again. Before I could respond, a nurse knocked at the door. "The patient needs rest. Please leave if you're not necessary." Ethan and Lucas left without protest, taking Claire with them. After they were gone, the nurse walked in and said, "Your husband just came and is going out to buy you some porridge." He frowned. "Wait. Didn't you just kick my husband out?" She blinked. "Oh no. I meant the man who came earlier today. I was in obstetrics and gynecology 4 years ago and saw you during your prenatal checkups. Your husband, well, he never missed a single moment. He waited anxiously outside the whole time, barely touching his phone. Everyone admired how attentive he was. I stayed silent. Ethan had never come to any of those appointments. The one who accompanied me was Ian, my younger brother. He was only 18 back then. I didn't explain that to the nurse, though. We wouldn't have much connection soon anyway. Soon after, Ian burst in, panting and carrying a lunchbox. I was starving. I hadn't eaten all day and my stomach ached. He quickly set down the warm porridge, carefully arranging the spoon, napkin, and water cup in front of me. "This is warm water," he explained. "And this is your favorite, preserved egg and lean meat porridge. First, I'll peel the eggs for you." I accepted his care without hesitation. Ever since I met Ian when I was 15, brought home by my grandfather, he had been my most loyal companion. As I took a few bites, my stomach began to settle. When I looked up, I saw tears welling in Ian's eyes. "You don't know how scared I was when I heard about the accident," he whispered, his voice cracking slightly. I felt a lump rise in my throat. Of course, a car accident was terrifying. I was just lucky nothing vital was hurt. I thought pretending to have amnesia would be a harmless way to tease Ethan and Lucas. But deep down, I knew a heartless person wouldn't worry about anyone. A few days later, I was discharged from the hospital. I made sure to tell the doctor that I couldn't remember anything except Ethan and Lucas. The doctor informed Ethan that it was temporary amnesia due to the concussion, and that my memories would return gradually. When I returned home with Ethan, soft piano music floated from the living room. Claire and Lucas were playing a duet together. Claire gave Lucas a thumbs up. "Our little pianist is amazing," she praised. Lucas blushed and laughed. "You're the one who taught him well," he replied. I quietly walked upstairs without changing my expression. When Lucas saw me, his smile faded. Claire stood up quickly. "Naomi, how are you feeling?" I nodded from the stairs. "Almost well. You can continue." "I don't hate Claire, I just envy her." Claire wasn't the third party in our marriage. She was Ethan's first love, the one he never got over. Although Ethan and I were married, there was truth in the saying, the real third party is the one who isn't loved. Back when Ethan was 18, I saw him fall deeply in love for the first time. Last month, Wentz declared bankruptcy, and Claire had to return home. She used all her savings to cover her family's debts, but finding a high-paying job in China as a music major wasn't easy. Ethan found her and offered her a position as Lucas's piano teacher, paying her $600,000 a month. "New mother is so nice," Lucas shouted from the living room. "I love new mother the most." "Lucas, I'm not." "Don't call me that anymore," Lucas interrupted Claire, hugging her thigh affectionately. "If you call me Lucas again, I'll be angry. You should call me Lucas, baby." "You're much gentler than my mother," he continued, glancing toward the bedroom upstairs where I hadn't appeared yet. "I like you the most. Can you live in my house? I want to see you as soon as I wake up." My father already agreed. Claire hesitated. "Why don't you live in my house? My house is so luxurious. You can have whatever you want." Ethan had actually suggested that Claire move in. There were plenty of rooms, and she wouldn't have to commute. Considering Claire was practically broke now, it made sense, but she politely declined. "Lucas, baby, you should practice today's piano piece," Claire said gently. Lucas shook his head stubbornly. "No. You should live here." "Are you afraid of my mother?" Claire asked. "Don't worry," Lucas reassured her. "My father and I will protect you. She listens to my father. She won't do anything to you." Lucas was my son and he was smart. He knew exactly what to say to press my buttons. I put on my pearl earrings and slowly walked downstairs. Seeing me approach, Claire looked a little awkward. "Naomi, It's okay, Claire," I interrupted. "You can stay here. I know it takes you 3 hours on the bus every day. Don't feel burdened. I'm actually quite happy that you can come back." Lucas was stunned. In the past, if Dad mentioned the name Claire while drunk, Mom would cry with red eyes. And last month, when Claire visited his house, it wasn't their first meeting. Lucas had secretly seen the old photos of women hidden in Dad's drawer, as well as the names muttered in drunken moments. That's why he chose Claire as the perfect weapon to punish me. But now that weapon had become useless. "I want ice cream. Bring me 2 No 10. Lucas demanded. The only response he got was the sound of me closing the bedroom door behind me. He'd been unkempt during my hospitalization, but now that I was discharged, he needed to go to the beauty salon to fix his appearance. The driver had been waiting outside for a while, and Lucas inside the house dropped his act immediately. "Master, the ice cream is here," a servant announced, hurrying to take it from the refrigerator. "Who wants to eat it?" Lucas snapped, throwing the ice cream onto the floor. He stared at the closed door. Did Mom really forget him? Meanwhile, Ethan's mother, Grace, learned that Claire had returned to China and that Ethan had hired her as Lucas's piano teacher. She arrived promptly, bringing several bags of luxury goods. On the sofa, the elegant lady held Claire's hands warmly. "Claire, good child, you've suffered so much. If you had been with Ethan from the start, he would have helped manage your family's affairs. How could they have gone bankrupt?" Claire looked uneasy. "Auntie, you can't say that. The past is the past. Now that Ethan is willing to give me a job, I'm very grateful. Grace patted her hands with satisfaction. You won't be wronged in our family, she whispered. Ethan will help your family turn things around. Then she leaned in closer. Did you know Ethan is planning to divorce? He wants to do it as soon as possible once you're back. Claire stiffened slightly. Doesn't that mean something? Grace smiled knowingly. Don't worry. Lian Jojo likes you very much. You'll be fine. Grace didn't ask me to entertain her when she came over, even though she knew I was home. I was tactful enough not to interrupt their reunion. It wasn't just Ethan and Lucas who liked Claire. Ethan's mother did too. Long before Ethan and I got married, Grace had wanted Claire to be her daughter-in-law. Claire came from a scholarly background and was a perfect match for the Pei family. Fate had it that Ethan fell in love with Claire at first sight, and Grace was thrilled, already planning the wedding between their families. Unfortunately, Claire didn't return his feelings. She rejected Ethan's confession and went abroad to pursue music. Though disappointed, Grace still admired Claire's ambition and independence. Meanwhile, I, born into a modest family, was seen as vain and money-driven, someone who would do anything to marry Ethan. Sometimes I wondered, if Claire had married Ethan from the beginning, maybe everyone would have been happy. My phone vibrated, pulling me from my thoughts. The message reminded me that the insurance compensation for the car accident had arrived. I hoped I could forget what happened that day. But whenever I closed my eyes, it all replayed vividly. It had been raining heavily. Ethan and I were on the highway when someone called him. I could hear the voice clearly. Ethan, a group of debt collectors are heading to the one family. They're targeting the eldest daughter. Ethan glanced at me, not asking for permission but telling me he was turning toward the one family's direction, completely opposite from where we were headed. I whispered, "Please drop me off at the service area ahead. I'll take a taxi back." As soon as I stepped out, I opened my umbrella. A black Bentley sped past me, splashing icy water across my face. My emotions, already fragile, collided with the stormy weather. The cab I caught skidded on the wet road. As the car lost control, I fastened my seatbelt tightly. My heart pounded wildly and everything went blank. With a loud crash, my head slammed against the window. Time slowed. My mind flashed through my life, but all the memories revolved around Ethan. At 10, my parents bought a villa in Beijing's wealthiest neighborhood, hoping I would impress Ethan. I followed him around for 7 years, trying to win his favor. At 17, I realized I genuinely liked him. But he hated me. People mocked me, calling me clown sister. At 18, Ethan fell for Claire, and I watched helplessly as he chased after her. At 21, Ethan got drunk and kissed me, calling out Claire's name. I endured it because my family needed money, and marrying Ethan was my dream. Eventually, Ethan's grandfather forced him to marry me. I became his wife at 22 and faced a difficult pregnancy. Now, at 27, my own son called another woman Mom in front of me. My husband accepted it. I pretended not to care, but the pain was unbearable. The person I feared losing wanted me gone, so I chose silence. Maybe happiness was never meant for me. Would you speak ill of someone you love? I wanted to ask Ethan and Lucas that. But seeing how they looked at Claire, I already knew the answer. Ethan fell for Claire at first sight. Lucas did too. This was the first time Lucas ever showed affection for someone else. People always stick with what they recognize at first sight. Lucas was becoming more and more like his father, in looks, personality, even taste in women. I never considered Claire a third party, because I had stolen what belonged to her long ago. Suffering comes from chasing the wrong things. I think this marriage is finally over. It's time to return Ethan and Lucas to Claire. In fact, Ethan drafted the divorce agreement the day Claire came back. He'd wanted to end things for a long time, so he could pursue Claire again. I contacted the Pei family lawyer and went to Ethan's office together. I signed the papers calmly. Ethan hesitated before signing, his fingers tightening around the pen until his knuckles turned white. Lawyer Zhang hesitated. Ethan, you can sign after thinking it over. I knew how Ethan felt. Maybe he had feelings for a dog. After all, I had followed him for 16 years. But Lucas belongs to me. He looked at me, searching for sadness, grief, reluctance, but found none. He clenched his jaw and signed furiously. I was already busy reading the property division document, satisfied with the terms. In the empty office, Lawyer Zhang shivered as Ethan radiated coldness. No announcement yet, Ethan said. She's just throwing a tantrum. She lost her memory. She'll remember us soon. She loves me and Lucas too much. Once she remembers, she'll come crying and beg me to get back together. This divorce is just punishment for forgetting us completely. When she apologizes and cries, I'll forgive her and remarry her. His mood lightened instantly as he took a sip of coffee. Lawyer Zhang wiped sweat from his brow. The divorce was final, the property split. But apparently this was just a tantrum. As I left, I expected to feel sad. After all, this was the life I'd lived for 6 years. But instead I felt free, like chains had been lifted. I was no longer someone's wife or someone's mother. I didn't have to please anyone anymore. I hired 3 moving trucks and spent a small fortune hiring 3 Japanese moving companies. I packed up all my luxury bags, clothes, jewelry, skincare products, and took them away. I also brought along my baking supplies, a cabinet full of high-end dishes and chopsticks I had carefully selected, a few pieces of furniture I was used to using, and plenty of decorations I had bought over the years. Even some gifts I had purchased for Ethan and Lucas at great cost went into the boxes. They hadn't liked them, and they were just sitting in the corner of the cabinet anyway. If I took them, they wouldn't even notice. In that case, I figured I might as well sell them secondhand. After all, we were divorced. If they saw those things again, they'd probably feel disgusted. There was so much to pack, but thankfully I had booked 3 companies with enough manpower. Everything was boxed and loaded in under 2 hours. The house suddenly felt empty. When Ethan came back, he'd probably think it looked clean and tidy. He never liked having too many things around. But now, finally, they were gone. I was thoughtful enough to leave enough space for the new hostess who would soon move in. Before I left the yard, I took one last look at the villa. I knew I'd never come back again. Aunt Zhang stood at the gate, watching me quietly wipe her tears. "Madam, are you really leaving?" she asked. She had been with me since I moved in. She was good to me, treated me like her daughter. I think only Aunt Zhang would truly cry because of my departure. I held her hand and smiled lightly. "You should congratulate me," I said. "This is a good thing for me." Ethan had been efficient about dividing the property. I used the money from the transfer to buy a large 200 square meter flat I had set my eyes on last month. The previous owner had emigrated, and the place was already decorated in a French romantic style. I fell in love with it instantly. I didn't need to decorate anything myself and could move in directly. I quickly signed the contract and had the movers bring everything over. I had hired organizers early on, and within half a day, my belongings were neatly stored away. That money was well spent. I lay comfortably on the recliner by the French window, looking out at the scenery. My life could finally start again. Ian arrived soon after with a bunch of bags. The first person I told after the divorce was Ian. 4 years, no matter what happened, big or small, I always told Ian, and he always stood by me unconditionally. "Why did you bring so many things?" I asked. He smiled. "The first meal in your new house has to be eaten at home." He pulled out vegetables, placing them neatly into the refrigerator one by one. I bought fruits and milk. "It's cold outside. Let them sit at room temperature before eating." "Little housekeeper," I teased, but then something caught my eye. A box on the ground shook violently. Startled, I pointed at it. "Ian, the box is moving." Ian laughed. "It's a gift for you. Come open it." I hesitated, slightly afraid, until I heard a soft meow from inside. My eyes lit up. I trotted over and carefully opened the box. Inside was a golden tabby cat. I squatted down and observed it closely. The little kitten was affectionate, rubbing against my calf. My heart melted. Ethan had always hated cats, so I never thought about getting one. And the only person who knew how much I loved cats was Ian. I hugged the cat tightly and squealed, "Ian, you're just like a worm in my stomach." I played with it for a while and named it Marshmallow. Ian quickly prepared dinner. As he picked up a piece of sweet and sour pork rib for me, he said, "You're alone tonight, okay?" He was worried, maybe afraid I wasn't fully letting go. After all, he used to like Ethan a lot. "Don't worry," I replied. "I was the one who proposed the divorce. And I don't have any feelings for Ethan anymore." After the car accident, my mind just cleared. Ian looked at my relaxed expression, not sure if it was real. But then he smiled with relief. "I'm really happy you can figure it out. It's Ethan who doesn't deserve you." Since I was divorced, he asked if I wanted to return to the company. Before I got pregnant, I helped my father manage it. Then during summer vacation, when I was 5 months along, my father handed the reins to Ian, who was only 18 at the time. There were many opinions among the shareholders, but it turned out my father had vision. Within 2 months, the company's turnover doubled or tripled. Ian managed the business while still attending school and eventually became one of the most promising young entrepreneurs. I really wanted to go back to the company, but I hadn't worked in 5 years. Ian put down his chopsticks. "With your ability, you'll get back into the rhythm quickly. Have you forgotten how you used to shine in the business world?" My heart pounded. I remembered the joy of signing my very first order. I nodded and agreed. 2 days later, I went home with Ian for my father's birthday. I told my parents nervously, "I'm divorced." My father's face darkened and he raised his hand to hit me. "Dad!" Ian shouted. My mother ran over and stood in front of me, hugging me tightly. "What are you doing? We've ruined our daughter's first half of life. She's an adult now. Let her make her own choices." Suddenly, countless grievances surged inside me, and I hugged my mother and sobbed. My father's eyes were red. He slapped himself hard. "Dad is useless. I knew the Pei family was dangerous, but I still let you get close to Ethan. I'm the one who has no right to blame you." Mom pulled me to the sofa. "Naomi, if you want a divorce, just get one. Your dad and I have seen it all these years." She looked at Ian and me. "Naomi, let Ian move in with you to take care of you," protested. "That's too much trouble for Ian. Besides, I'm a grown woman. I can take care of myself. As for cooking, you saw the meal. At least I didn't poison myself." Mom didn't comment. I smiled sheepishly. I loved cooking and experimenting with recipes. According to Ethan and Lucas, my food was dark cuisine, but fortunately, Ian loved to eat, so this hobby stayed with me. At that moment, Ian looked at me nervously. "Naomi, there's still a lot you need to learn at the company. And there's Marshmallow too. You'll need help cleaning the litter box." I nodded and agreed immediately. Ian breathed a sigh of relief, and my mother laughed. "Who else treats you like a child except Ian?" But I thought my mother was wrong, because Ian was clearly the child in front of me. Still, I missed the days when Ian stuck to me like glue when we were kids. Though I was busy at work now, I hadn't felt this fulfilled in a long time. The feeling of constantly leveling up and conquering challenges made me energized. One night, I worked overtime for several hours before returning home. The lights were still on. Ian was waiting for me. I used to wait for Ethan to come home, but this was the first time someone prepared a meal and waited for me. I couldn't help smiling as I walked into the living room. Ian had fallen asleep waiting for me. I tiptoed over with a blanket. As I approached, I realized he was lying on a single recliner with barely enough space. His legs were dangling off the edge. Ian had grown up. I never thought about it that way before. Now, looking at him, I noticed how good his figure looked. I lowered my gaze and found my eyes lingering on his chest muscles. He had such smooth, delicate skin. I wondered what it would feel like to touch him. Maybe even leave a mark if I pressed harder. His bathrobe was loosely tied, revealing part of his toned chest, white and bulging, even showing a hint of tempting pink. Just looking at him made me feel warm all over. Maybe I could bite him like this, maybe he'd even cry. I blushed instantly at the image in my mind. I shook my head furiously, trying to clear the thought. I must be drunk, I thought. My mind feels hazy. I bent down to cover him with a blanket, but when I looked up, I accidentally locked eyes with him. He was staring at me. Startled, I lost my balance and fell onto him. My face landed on his chest, dangerously close to that tempting spot. My face burned. I tried to get up, but the shaking recliner made it difficult. Every time I pushed myself up, I slipped back down. Finally, Ian placed a strong hand on my waist and sat up, stabilizing us both. "Naomi, what are you doing?" His voice was hoarse from sleep. I grabbed the blanket and covered my face awkwardly. "I just wanted to cover you with this." He chuckled softly, his chest vibrating beneath me. I realized I was still sitting on his lap. I quickly scrambled off and ran to my room. Over the past few days, I had gotten back into the rhythm of running the company. One evening, as I hummed a tune walking through the community parking lot, I saw Ethan's car. I muttered a curse under my breath. Lucas was blocking the elevator door. "Dad asked me to come see you," he said. "He wanted me to apologize to you." He turned his head away. "I'm sorry. Last time calling Claire Mom was just a prank." He sniffled. "Who knows if you really lost your memory?" "It's okay," I said gently. Lucas turned to look at me, his eyes lighting up. "You said softly. You don't have to apologize to me," I continued. "No matter who you call Mom in the future, Claire will soon be your stepmother. She's a good person and you seem to like her a lot. Your life will be happier." He followed me all the way to the door, not intending to leave. "Do you have anything else to do? If not, I'll close the door." Lucas widened his eyes in disbelief. "I apologized, and you won't forgive me? You'll regret it." Tears filled his eyes as I shut the door. It was the first time I had treated him so coldly. He shouted at the door. "How dare you do this to me? When you regain your memory and remember me, don't ask me to forgive you. Even if you kneel, I won't." Hearing his words, I hid in my room and cried silently. I questioned myself. Did I not teach him well? Was I unworthy of being a mother? But now things were different. My heart felt calm. The mother-son bond between Lucas and me had broken the moment he called someone else Mom. Sometimes I suspected Ian was seducing me, but I had no proof. Like at that moment, when he was wearing a casual outfit and making coffee for me. A soft white t-shirt and gray pants made him look like a college student. Actually, he was a recent graduate, so youthful. I sighed while lying on the sofa. Look at those hips. Those abs. Wow, pleasing to the eye. No wonder people love keeping male models around. Ian came over with coffee, and I immediately buried my face in a magazine. I took a sip of the coffee. As Ian sat down, Marshmallow jumped into his lap. I watched the cat step on his gray pants. Wait, gray pants. I focused on a particular spot. Ian leaned close to my ear, whispering, "Naomi, what are you looking at?" My ears tingled. My breathing stopped. I looked everywhere but at him. I was looking at the cat," I stammered. "It's grown a lot." I blushed and rushed back to my room. Later I messaged my best friend. "Since Ian started living with me, I feel like he's seducing me every day. Should I consider dating someone?" She called me excitedly. "You finally opened your eyes. You just realized that such a handsome guy has liked you for years." Confused, I asked, Does he like me?" I covered my chest, unsure where the joy came from. She scoffed. "Anyone with eyes can see it. He pretends to be innocent in front of you but looks like a big bad wolf outside. Which honestly scares people sometimes. What do you think?" she added. "Since you're divorced, why not give Ian a chance? He's way better than that scumbag." I was confused. Company affairs kept me busy enough. I didn't want to think about anything else. After hanging up, another call came in. It was Ethan. Naomi, Lucas has a fever and is crying for you. Can you come home to see him? His voice sounded strangely pleading. I stepped onto the balcony, enjoying the breeze. Ethan, I've called you several times like this. This is my first time being a mother, I continued softly. Every time my baby was sick, I panicked and didn't know what to do. Even with the family doctor present, I still called you with trembling hands, crying, begging you to come home. But what was your reaction back then? My voice hardened. Your cold words still echo in my ears. You said you can't take care of yourself, but how can you not take care of Lucas? Ethan's voice cracked. Naomi, have you recovered your memory? His voice was cautious. I didn't lose my memory from the beginning, I said slowly. See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau in a month. Don't think I'll come back to you just because I remember. There's no possibility between us anymore. I heard a sound like glass breaking on the other end. I hung up and blocked his number. From that day on, I began seeing Ethan frequently. He'd sit in his car and watch me quietly, not disturbing my life. Maybe it was men's stubbornness, the idea that what they can't get is the best. But when I saw Ethan now, I treated him like a passing stranger. Today was Sunday. When I opened the door, Lucas came in with a big photo album. He squeezed through the crack and sat on the sofa, completely forgetting the way he had demanded I kneel and beg for forgiveness last time. Mom, look. He flipped open the album. This is me when I was still in your belly. This is when I was born. Isn't it cute? Grandma said I was the cutest baby in the whole hospital. He wanted to awaken my maternal instincts. But when I looked at the photos, all I felt was pain for me. In the pictures I was thin, but my belly was swollen. Back then, pregnancy had tortured me, vomiting everything I ate, dry hair, sleepless nights due to kicks in the stomach. I sighed. So selfish, Mom. Lucas looked confused. You only focus on yourself, I said. You don't know how hard it was for me to give birth to you. 10 months of suffering. Lucas, you'll never empathize with me. You'll never understand what I sacrificed for you. You're just like your father, a sophisticated egoist. Close the album. Go. These photos only remind me of painful memories. Lucas refused to leave and was finally taken away by Pay's housekeeper. A few days later, he came again with a ceramic plate. Mom, look. This is the plate you made for me. You said you worked on it for a whole day. Oh, then why is it broken? He hesitated, but I knew he broke it. He thought it was ugly and embarrassing to bring to school. The shattered ceramic scratched my arm, leaving a faint scar. I never had much artistic talent. This plate was the best among dozens I had made. Eventually, Ethan bought him a professional artist's work and sent him to school with it. I glued this one together piece by piece, but once broken, it could never be fully repaired. I threw it into the trash can, shattering it forever. Since there was a replacement, there was no need to keep the broken one. Lucas stared at the pieces, stunned. Then he looked up happily. Mom, did you recover your memory and remember me? I shook my head. I didn't lose my memory. I just don't want to think about you and Ethan anymore. I didn't plan to say anything else and drove him out. That evening there was a social gathering. Ian insisted on coming with me, afraid I'd drink too much. Turns out, he couldn't hold his liquor either. Both of us drank and couldn't drive. The venue was close to home, so I supported Ian and planned to walk back. The cold wind would sober us up. While he was drunk, I casually asked, Ian, do you like me? His dark eyes lit up. He looked at me silently for a long time, then suddenly looked away, blushing and nodding heavily. My heart pounded. I changed the subject. What did you drink just now? He thought for a moment. Seems like brandy. I leaned in and kissed him. His lips were tender, full, beautiful beads. So soft, like marshmallows with liquor filling. I licked my lips afterward. Yeah, I said nonchalantly. It's really brandy. I walked forward, leaving Ian frozen behind. He quickly caught up, wrapping his arms around me tightly, burying his head in my neck like a happy child. He whispered, Naomi, I like you so much. As soon as we got home, Ian seemed to sober up. He pressed me against the door. Naomi, can I kiss you? When I nodded, his eyes lit up like a puppy seeing a meat bone. He kissed me all the way to the bed, pecking my collarbone lightly. Feeling my trembling, he paused. He leaned close to my ear. Naomi, stop pushing me away. In the dark, I unbuckled his belt. Meanwhile, at a party organized by Ethan's friends, Ethan was drinking silently. He overheard gossip. Suddenly, with a bang, he overturned the table beside him. What did you say? He growled. Ian is just the adopted son of the Sean family. He's always liked Naomi. Ethan's face darkened. His voice turned colder than ever. He was furious. His eyes reddened, throwing every bottle on the table to the ground. The air around him froze. People trembled, realizing for the first time that Ethan could be terrifying. Suddenly, a fatal question struck him. Ian had never called him brother-in-law. Nor had he ever called Naomi's sister sister-in-law. Ethan immediately drove to Ian's company. As soon as he entered the office, he grabbed Ian's collar and punched him. Ethan gritted his teeth. You're really great. I treated you like my brother-in-law, but you actually like your sister. Ian wiped blood from the corner of his mouth and smiled contemptuously. You're worthy of being my brother-in-law. Open the chat history with me. Though puzzled, Ethan pulled out his phone and searched for Ian's messages. Accompany your sister to prenatal checkups. She has severe pregnancy reactions and refuses to eat at home. Come over, she's depressed after giving birth. If you have time, accompany her abroad. Naomi has a fever. Naomi is throwing a tantrum again. I don't have time to deal with her. Please go check on her. Naomi was in a car accident. Please take care of her. Ian responded to every message immediately. Ian never initiated contact. It was always Ethan who reached out. During this marriage, Ian accompanied Naomi to 14 prenatal checkups. Ethan had asked Ian to accompany Naomi countless times when she was sad. Ian had played the role of husband in their marriage. And Ethan realized it far too late. He had always enjoyed her kindness, used to being loved, thinking she would never leave. Until he really lost her. He suddenly understood. It turned out he loved Naomi. But Naomi was gone. Lucas also left. He said he wanted to go to boarding school. Didn't want someone taking care of him. Said he could handle himself. After Lucas left, Ethan was the only one left in the big house. It didn't feel like home anymore. There was no warmth. Naomi was so cruel. She didn't leave him anything of hers. Sometimes he envied Lucas. At least Lucas could see his mother every week and call her Mom. Ethan could only drink every day to numb the pain. The image of her by his side lingered endlessly. He felt guilty, regretful. He hated himself for missing so many opportunities. Every night, he felt heartbroken because he had met someone who loved him so deeply, and he ruined it all. Looking through the only photo of them together from their wedding, tears flowed down. Why didn't his future self travel back 6 years ago and tell Ethan not to hurt her? Not to push her away. Not to let her go. If he had another chance, he'd hold her hand tightly. Death itself couldn't separate them. Unfortunately, there was no if. She was getting married. She was his wife just a few months ago. How could this happen? He told Lucas about his mother's marriage to Ian, expecting him to feel miserable like him. But Lucas wasn't sad. He was happy for his mother. Mom is very happy with Uncle Ian, he said. I hope she can be happy. Even children knew she was happier with Ian. What right did Ethan have to blame Naomi? He went to her wedding. He never got to hold one for her, but Ian did. Lucas volunteered to be the flower girl. The wedding was grand. He didn't know how beautiful Naomi looked in her wedding dress. I wish you happiness, he said. Thank you. She smiled. She had let it go. And Ethan had missed his happiness. He would never be happy again. This was the biggest punishment for him.